My good man, Mr. Elliott, put out a phenomenal video in the last 24 hours talking about shit coins, the best shit coins at least, of which we're going to go over and chart out the AI shit coins that he was listing out from his video. So I just want to be charting these and kind of giving out, areas of interest that if they came down to, I might be interested in buying. I'm probably not going to buy them. And by the way, just for full disclosure, I own none of the things that we're going to be talking about today. And I also want to copy and paste all of the warnings that Elliott had in his video on this video as well, meaning like, hey, these are highly risky assets and be very, very careful. They can literally go to zero and these probably aren't long-term holds and yada, yada, yada. You can check out his video, by the way, in the link in the description below. I'll put it down there. If you're not already familiar with Elliott, you should be, because he's the best guy when it comes to this sort of stuff. And I love his warnings, by the way. Elliott's a very, very good friend. I love his fucking warnings. I love his warnings because you can tell that he has been scarred by the 2021 market, where just maybe some people didn't understand, who might be newer to cryptocurrencies, to how risky these things can be. And fair enough, I think he did a great job there. So let's just jump right into it. It's gonna be a little bit more rapid fire in this case. We're gonna go down all the AI coins that he listed, maybe even one of the meme coins as well. And while this video is titled "These 4 Crypto Altcoins Will 44x," watch before having. I think he said that for specifically the AI coins, these are probably more around like a 5 to 10x. And we're talking like around end of cycle, like not in the next day or two, not in the next week or two, around end of cycle, maybe end of year or like a year out from now, something like that. Anyways, first things first, let's go into symbol TAO. Looks like I already have this one nice and drawn out. Let me get back to my actual cursor right there. And in this case, had a pretty phenomenal run, over the last 6 months or so now. But despite having a phenomenal run, I do believe that this one is corrective in the short term. We do see some hidden bearish divergence on the daily time frame, and this one's very likely going to create a bit of a trading range here. Wouldn't be surprised to see this one come down a little bit lower, perhaps closer to like 450, 460ish region, maybe even a quick wick down to 390, but ultimately anywhere around there, very likely does set in a higher low on the higher term timeframes, assuming that this one is going to continue to trend to the upside, because long term over here on the weekly, hidden bullish evidence will be forming on the barely formed weekly RSI. So long term, this one very likely does continue. The question is, where does this next higher low come in around? For right now, I think that at least you get a retest of that 480ish region. And personally speaking, I feel a lot better on a move somewhere in this red circle right here, before potentially giving another try to the upside. And realistically, if and when it does come down around here, you're probably looking at a more prolonged sideways market. Again, a lot of these things have had very, very phenomenal moves to the upside. I mean, for reference, since October, this thing's gone up like 1,700%. Playing out a month or two of sideways price action, completely fine. So likely opportunities abound is what I'm trying to say. I would get bearish on this thing below 330. However, that is where I would flip around and say, hey, don't know about these shitcoins, man. I think they're going to zero or maybe not zero, but they're going down a lot more. So as long as it maintains above there, everything's a higher low on the higher term timeframes, and continuation most likely. Moving on now, we can get into symbol AKT, symbol Akash, symbol AKT for Akash. And in this case, again, another one that, since really like May of last year, like a year ago almost now, it's been straight to the upside, literally straight to the upside. Retested prior all-time highs, which is a good sign, especially for a 2021 shitcoin, as you can see right here. But just because it's been up a lot and just because it probably is good long-term doesn't mean that it can't correct in the more short term. And I suspect that that's what's happening right here as I do the damn drawing thing again. In this case, we do see that there's some pretty obvious bearish divergence on the 5-day time frame. I think that this current correction can take a while to resolve. Does it have a short-term bounce from where it currently is at? I mean, it wouldn't take too much for it to, to bounce back up, maybe even close to $5, but I don't think that's a move that you're looking for on a continuation of new all-time highs. I do think that this one takes a longer time to trade sideways and down. The most shallow of fibs here would be 260, so I'd probably feel a little bit better if it did come back down somewhere around there, but anywhere between about 260 to 195 is probably where I'd be looking for on a likely higher low before continuation to the upside. Higher term time frame still very much bullish here. Just looking for the next higher low on those higher term time frames is the name of the game. So short term, again, can very easily bounce even above $5 a little bit, but As long as it's below $6, it's corrective at best, with sideways price action, for the coming weeks, I suspect. Anyways, moving on from there, we can get into symbol AIOZ. This one a little bit different than the past ones that we've looked at. It does have hidden bullish evidence on the daily time frame right here. I do suspect that it is getting ready for a little bit of a bounce attempt, probably somewhere closer to $1. Assuming that this one does not close basically back above this 105, 106 high right here. I do still think that the corrective period can drag on for a while longer. Maybe see a quick move to the upside followed by, another down, and then just some more sideways, something like that would probably look better long term. 5-day time frame, weekly time frame. I mean, the thing, my reservation with this current correction is that you haven't even seen it come down to like the 382 level, which I generally want to see. Even on like a higher term time frame swing at minimum. Now then again, some of these things are very, very new, so they can just do whatever the fuck they want because their market caps are so low, and it doesn't really take too much to get these things rolling. But long term, again, the name of the game is upside. The question is, how far does it correct in the short term? I like I said, I'd feel a lot better about it if it came down somewhere between like 34 to 45 cents, but that doesn't mean it needs to do that. I mean, that's literally a 50% move from its current levels. So, that would imply that Bitcoin really comes down hard, probably close to 60,000, a little bit below 60,000. That just might be, I might be too conservative in this case. And of course, if it does close above the current highs, I mean, well, at that point, you can just expect this thing to probably go to $1.50 and more, in the coming weeks or months. So yes, this one definitely on the stronger side of things that we've looked at thus far today. Anyways, moving on now, symbol prime. This one actually playing out kind of the same move that I'd be looking for on the previous chart that we just saw. Hidden bullish evidence on the daily right here. This one's already popped back up and tested close to those prior highs, not exactly there. I think it might try a little bit higher, maybe somewhere around 26.5, 27 cents, something like that. On this current bounce, but assuming that you don't see any closures above 28 bucks, sorry, not 28 cents, but $28, I'd probably be looking for this one to maybe correct a little bit more as well. Again, in the grand scheme of things, especially as far as charts that we looked at today, this one's might be the strongest actually. It actually might be the strongest, yeah. Looking pretty good right there. 5-day time frame actually kind of looks like it's more ready to go here as well, which is rather interesting. So yeah, 2-day time frame, hidden bullish evidence. I do think that this current rally actually does try a little bit higher. If it does close above $28, get ready for this one to, well, obviously try new all-time highs. But where would those potential new all-time highs be? It's a real question, and let's just draw a fib extension for this. And at that point, probably looking somewhere between 42 to $55, somewhere around there. Sounds kind of crazy. Again, not all to happen in one day, but over the course of weeks and months, perhaps. By the same token, like I said, if this one does pull back more, I'd probably be looking somewhere between 14 to 16.5 bucks, somewhere in this region right here. Still be higher lows, to be fair. Really only get bearish on this thing below about $10. And by the way, I forgot to go over my bearish levels for the other ones as well. AIOZ, where would I get bearish on it? Below 22 cents. AKT, below 170. And yeah, I think that was actually it. Okay, cool. Let's continue on with the party then. Prime, okay, yep, we just did that one. Let's go to symbol PAAL. This one looks a lot more corrective in the short term. There might be a short-term bounce here, yes, but I don't think that's the bounce that you're really looking for as of right now. I think that at best, you're probably going to see some sideways price action like this. If it came back down to about 39.5 cents, I'd like that for a higher low, to be honest with you. And I get bearish on this thing below about a quarter, below about 25 cents. Looking at higher term timeframes here relative to that, I mean, long term, this is good. Long term, it's very likely to try new all-time highs, maybe even later this month, actually, might try. Yeah, this one actually does look a little more ready than some of them as well. So while I am saying short-term corrective, and that can, this sideways can drag on for a little bit longer, maybe it tries another upside move later on in this month. What else would I say about it? I think that's pretty much it. Again, if it did come down closer to like 49 or 39 cents, I'd probably be like that for a higher low before another try to the upside, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it needs to do that. I mean, at the end of the day, it can do whatever the fuck it wants, right? So just kind of cruise around the different time frames. So That would be kind of my main thing with it. Is I wouldn't choose it right here though. Personally speaking, can I be wrong about that? Yes, absolutely. I feel a lot better down around about 39.5 cents or so, or 40 cents, somewhere around there. All right, moving on. We got symbol 0x0. Kind of similar to the last chart, actually. Looks a little bit better in the short term than the last chart as well. But overall, a range. I would, again, feel a lot better if this one came back down to 28 to 27 cents and tried for a higher low there. In the more near term, does this one try again higher? I mean, yeah, higher term timeframes, no. I do think that this one spent some time going sideways at best. The only way that I call new all-time highs, if you see it start to trade and close higher term timeframes daily, and nothing less, back above about 48 cents. If that were to happen at that point, okay, I'd be wrong about correction first, and you could probably look forward to somewhere between 75 cents to maybe even a buck. In the coming weeks. But for right now, more sideways price action. Personally speaking, feel a lot better, like I said, if it came back down somewhere around 27 cents. I would get bearish on this one below 17.5 cents, way on over here. Always needs to be said. But anywhere around here, that's where I'd really like to see a higher low. If I could literally tell it what to do. But of course you can't. Just have to come up with areas of interest. If it gets there, you know what to do. If it doesn't, you also know what to do as well. Of course, it's not financial advice, so I'm just telling you what I would do in these particular situations. Anyways, GPU, definitely the newest one that we've seen thus far. So it's as always, it's a lot more difficult to do real analysis on things that are this new. When I look at the higher term timeframes, yes, continuation is most likely. In fact, it's really hard to get on something like this, to be honest. If it does pull back, where would I be looking at? Well, I suppose we could do something like this. Maybe closer to about $1.80, $1.85, somewhere in this zone right here. If it did, I don't say it's going to come down around there, but if it did, that's where I'd be interested, perhaps. This one, because it is so new, however, I wouldn't actually be that surprised if it did take off from here. I would get bearish on it if you did come back down below about $1.10. That would be obviously quite bearish. Until then, everything's a higher low and everything likely leads towards a long-term continuation. The question is, basically when. And when you have a chart that's been around for just a few weeks, not very helpful. Not very helpful, unfortunately. So that's kind of what I'd say about this one. But if anything can just kind of take off from here, this one's probably just because it's so fucking new. It just wouldn't take too much. Upon continuation above the, just under $3 highs, you're probably looking at $4 plus, $4.20 to $5. Fucking crazy in the coming weeks after that, or months after that. All right, and we'll do one last one over here. This is the Solana meme coin bullshit, amazing technology, Brett. This one's ready right now. Or at least I think it's ready right now. I suspect that we probably do have hidden bullish evidence on this one. Let's just double check over here on this particular chart. And what do you know? Yes, indeed it does. That's 4-hour time frame, so maybe not as relevant. Let's go to the daily, and won't even load. It won't even load. It's that new. Again, let the trend be your friend. In this case, this one very likely does continue on. 12-hour does have hidden bullish evidence for what it's worth. Don't know how much it's worth on some that's this, new, but probably looking somewhere around 10 cents. If I had to guess overall in the coming weeks. Really only get bearish on this one if it did come back down below about 5 cents. Until then, upside likely the name of the game. And that leads us to the end of this video. Should we go over Bitcoin really, really quickly? Not really much new here. Bitcoin is above $69,000 right now. It did not close above there yesterday, however. So 69,000 still my sort of line in the sand for getting bullish on Bitcoin in the more short term. Do you think this one probably does come back down a little bit in the interim? But still, long term, this is what you want to see here if you're bullish. You want to see this area be grinded out. Maybe one more test of these like low $60,000 lows. But ultimately, it's probably going to be an opportunity. And assuming that Bitcoin, trades sideways here and just reaccumulates, which I think is what it's doing. altcoins probably benefit during that situation. So yeah. All right, cool. Like I said, links to Elliot's videos in the description below. Thank you, Elliot, for this idea, which you're just finding out about right now. But all good. Anyways, look at that handsome motherfucker. Don't you just want to follow his channel? He's great, man. He's absolutely great. All right. Yeah, we'll sign off on that note. As always, want to wish you the best. Elsa, do you want to say it? Are you too shy? All right, she's too shy this morning. With that said, take care, much love, and see you hopefully tomorrow.